G'day groovers, rockers and in between. This is Vinyl Vibes. I'm your host, Jack Hodgins. Today we are talking with 50s recording artist Dodie Stevens. Dodie's big break came in 1958 when she performed on the TV show Strictly Informal, where she was discovered by Crystalette Records president Carl Burns. A year and a half later she recorded Pink Shoelaces, a number 3 hit in the US in 1959. Dodie continued her music till 1963 when she left music. She got back into the music world in 1966 and has been doing backing singing work and playing her own gigs since then. G'day Dodie and welcome to Vinyl Vibes.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to be with you.
And it's nice to have you here. And I just wanted to start off at the beginning. I've read you were born in 1946 in Chicago before moving to California when you were 3. I was just kind of thinking, what were those early years like for you?
What do I remember about all of those years? My goodness, those early years. Well, what I do remember is that I loved to sing at a very early age. And I was told, now this I don't remember, but I was told that as a very young girl in Chicago, I would sing. And I was also told that I sang before I talked. And it was just something, I believe it was what I was born with, the gift to sing. And so I just did it at a very early age, kind of what I was, I just think that's what I was born to do. That's all. I think I was born to sing. And when my parents moved to California with me and my sister, they gave, at the age of 5, it was a couple of years, and at the age of 5, they gave my sister and me voice lessons. I loved it. My sister did not. She was, even though we're only a year apart, she's older by a year. She was into sports. She loved to climb trees and play baseball and all those things. And that wasn't anything I did. I was just the opposite. I liked to sing. I liked to draw. I liked to kind of be by myself and just kind of do what I was feeling I should do in that moment. So my parents gave us voice lessons. And when they saw that my sister wasn't interested, they didn't force her. They asked me if I had liked it, loved it, so I continued to have voice lessons weekly until I was 15. So I had voice lessons for a very long time, 10 years of voice lessons.
One of your earliest influences was Judy Garland. Am I right on that?
You're absolutely right. And that was because my voice teacher at the time was very much into Judy Garland. And so at the end of our vocal exercises, she would end with a song she would teach me, and it was a Judy Garland song. So I was brought up with that kind of vocal influence, which is pretty wonderful when you think about Judy Garland and her wonderful voice and the songs that she sang. And you really had to have a good voice to sing her songs. So I was brought up on that. Judy Garland was my very first vocal influence, yeah.
I read too, in your early years, and I was pretty amazed about this, is that you recorded for the first time at age 8 when you recorded a song called Merry Go Round, Merry Go Round. I mean, how did you come to record at such a young age?
Oh, goodness. Well, because since I was taking voice lessons at a very young age at 5, like I said, my vocal coach would have me, perform on some local television shows or contests that were going on, talent contests that were going on. And so during that time, I don't remember who it was that heard me or at that young age, at the age of 7 or 8, when I did Merry Go Round. I don't know how that came about. I just did what I was told to do. Oh, let's record this song. We're going to do it at Gold Star Records. Oh, okay. I didn't know. I just kind of did what I was told to do. And I loved doing it because I loved to sing. No matter where I was singing, I loved it. I loved to perform. That was the other thing. When I was on any kind of stage or in front of a group of people that were judging me, I felt very comfortable. I wasn't afraid. I never had stage fright. That was never anything I had to work through. I just felt at home. And I also felt very loved. That was something else that I felt from my audience. When I was on stage singing, I was expressing to them what the song was about, and they were giving back to me with the love that I felt from them. It's definitely a give and take thing. When we're on stage, we work off of our audience. It's not a selfish thing. Or at least it's never been for me.
And in saying that too, I mean, that first recording you did, I've had a look everywhere. I've tried to find information on it, and I haven't been able to find a copy of it or anything like that. I mean, do you have a copy of it still? That first record you made, Merry Go Round, Merry Go Round?
I don't.
Oh wow! Okay.
I do not have a record of that. I mean, I can sing it. Let me sing you just a few bars of it.
Yeah, please do.
And this is my morning voice, so it's going to be what it's going to be. I love the razzmatazz that the melody has on the merry-go-round. And then what else? I love that old harmony from the calliope on the merry-go-round. How about that?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? My memory bank.
After that first record you made, Merry Go Round, you performed on the Frankie Lane show a few times after recording that record. And I mean, I just wanted to ask, like, what do you remember of performing on the Frankie Lane show? Yeah.
I don't have a lot of clear memory about that because, yes, I was still so very young. I believe I was 8 when I was on Frankie's show, and I was on a couple of times. I remember performing with him. We sang together. We kind of danced together. That I remember. And I don't remember the song or songs that I sang on the show. Something's coming to mind, though, as I'm talking with you, Jack, about The Kiss of Fire. That's the title of a song, The Kiss of Fire. And I may have sang that song on his show. I don't remember. Something's telling me I did. But I mean, what could an 8-year-old even know about a kiss of fire? Yeah. That was something that I had never experienced such a thing until way later in my life when I knew about kissing in that way. But I just had a very mature voice for my age, and I think that's what captured Frankie's attention, and he had me on his show again, and it was just a wonderful experience. I've had great experiences with my singing, through my singing.
Because, I mean, 1954 we're talking about here. I mean, 1955, the year later, the year after, rock and roll kind of started getting begun in that 1955, around that era. I mean, what do you remember hearing rock and roll for the first time? Like, does that stay with you?
I think what I remember, my first remembrance of rock and roll was Elvis, and I think even before Elvis was a group called Bill Haley and the Comets. Mm-hmm. And I believe they were before Elvis, if I'm not mistaken. So those two was my introduction into rock and roll.
Did it have a big impact on you, like at all, rock and roll? Like,
I don't think it had that much of an impact on me. I think because I was still singing songs that, like Judy Garland songs where you really had to have a developed voice to be able to sing that kind of thing. So rock and roll, you didn't really have to have a fabulous voice or a trained voice to sing rock and roll. It was just an expression of what was going on at the time. And of course, Elvis with, his moves and his gyrations and all that stuff. It was Elvis, and it was new, and some people weren't, crazy about it, and then others were. Mm-hmm. So he had to break through a lot of barriers.
And I mean, because a big moment in your career, I mean, I wanted to get this right, and I did some research. So you got discovered by Carl Burns of Crystalette Records when you were performing on a TV show called Strictly Informal with Larry Finley. Am I right on that?
You are absolutely right. Boy, honey, you've really done your homework. Okay, here's how that worked out. Yes, I was on this show, local TV show, as you said, Strictly Informal, and Larry Finley was the host. And he would have local folks on his TV show that were singers or dancers or whatever. It was just a format, and a forum, I should say, for local people to be on his television show. And on the same show that I was on was another person who was a new artist on Crystalette Records, and he was introducing his latest, well, not latest, his first recording on Crystalette Records. His name is Vic Dana. I do not remember the song he did, but the artist's name was Vic Dana. And so Carl Burns was not at the show. He was watching the show on TV to hear and see his new artist. And at the same time, he heard me on the show and was very impressed with me, the way I sang. And I was 11 years old when I was on the show. So he contacted the TV station and talked to my parents and was interested in recording me. But he said, I need to have just the right song for someone so young. It couldn't be what was out there, love songs and, you know, that kind of thing that was going on at the time. It wasn't anything that was something 11-year-old would sing. So he said, I will take your name and number down, and I'll call you when I have the right song. A year and a half later, he called. Said, remember me? He talked to my parents, of course. And I found just the right song for your daughter. It's called Pink Shoelaces. And that was that. I recorded it. I was 12. It was at the end of 1958 when I actually recorded the song. And then I was 13 when it was released, early in 1959. That's how that got started.
I've heard that you said that you weren't really a fan of the song at first, Pink Shoelaces, yeah.
Oh, no, it was, well, now here we go again. Because I had been trained since I was so young, I had a very mature voice. And the songs that I gravitated towards were songs like Judy Garland. And they had meaningful messages and, you know, things that just, it was something I think way beyond some in my age, my years. So when I heard Pink Shoelaces, first of all, when you think about it, it was the first rap song that was out there. Because I talked the verses. I didn't sing them. And the only time I did sing was the chorus. So you didn't really have to have a good voice to sing Pink Shoelaces. And here's the other thing. Lyrically, it was beyond novelty. It was ridiculous. It was beyond belief. It was, if you think about a verse like, he takes me deep sea fishing in a submarine. We go to drive-in movies in a limousine. Got a whirly birdie and a 12-foot yacht. 12-foot, that's not, a rowboat's bigger than that, and a 12-foot yacht.
Yeah.
But that's not all he's got. So it was silly lyrics, but let me tell you all about how that song was written and why it was so silly. The writer of it, Mickey Grant is her name. She was a very talented songwriter, and she wrote in terms of submitting songs for Broadway, that kind of thing, where you really had to have some meaning in your lyrics. So her friends, and this is, I was told this years later, I didn't know it back then, her friends dared her to write a song that was silly and ridiculous. They didn't think she could, and so she came like, oh, really? She's saying to herself, oh, really? Get a load of this. And so she wrote Pink Shoelaces to be as silly and ridiculous as one could imagine. And I was also told that she was not very proud of that song. She didn't really talk about it like she was the writer of it. Oh, no, she was proud of the kinds of songs that she did write before and after Pink Shoelaces. Yeah. No, I didn't like the song. It just wasn't my kind of song. I didn't toot my horn, so to speak. But I'm very proud of it. I mean, to this day, I'm very proud of it. And because of it, like with you, I'm being interviewed all these decades later because of it. And when I do it live on stage, which of course is always what I have to do, and I always close with it, I make it fun. I kind of dance around and I just kind of act out the lyrics and have fun with it. And the audience loves it. And they sing along, especially the part that goes, ooh, 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 ooh. My vocal coach was the one that suggested that I do that. She was very instrumental in my career, in the beginning of my career. Very instrumental. Her name was Helen Bishop. I had lessons weekly with her.
The recording session for Pink Shoelaces, I mean, what do you remember of it? Like, are there any memories that pop up for you?
The only thing that I remember was where it was located, which was, I believe, it was a studio across from CBS television on Fairfax Boulevard in Hollywood. And I also remember, and back then, everything was recorded live at the same time. The band, the background singers, the lead singer, we were all in one room recording at the same time. So if somebody made a mistake, we had to go back to the beginning and do it again. Take 1, take 2, take 10, take 20, whatever it was. As I recall, it didn't take more than maybe twice. We might have even nailed it the first time around. That I don't remember. I do remember that I was called a one-take wonder.
Yeah, wow.
That kind of followed me. Dodie's a one-take wonder. Because like I said, if everybody did it perfectly, it was one take. But if somebody made a mistake, well, you had to do it all over again. And here's another thing you're going to find interesting, or maybe you already know about it. You know about reverb and echo and that kind of thing. Recording. Well, back then there wasn't anything like that. We would go in a bathroom where the acoustics are so wonderful. That's why everybody sounds good in the shower. It's the acoustics of it. And so that was our echo chamber, a bathroom. Like I said, all I remember is that we all did it together in one room. And the voice that you hear that is Dooley in the last verse, where I say, now one day Dooley started feeling sick, and he decided that he better make his will out quick. He said, and then there's this deep voice, which is Dooley. Just before the angels come to carry me, I want it down and right and not to bury me. Well, that was one of the backup singers. And back then, they didn't use a lot of female vocals, background vocals. It was male vocals. And so it was a three, I think there were 3 men in this vocal group. It was called the Jack Halloran Singers. And it was the bass singer that was Dooley that sang that, or talked that part. Yeah, that I remember.
I mean, in saying that, because you did it live in the studio. I mean, the bass singer did that part. Did he step forward closer to the microphone or something like that, or how did that work? I mean, if you remember, yeah.
No, because he was on his microphone, or they were on their microphone. There were 3 of them, and all he did was just stand closer to his mic and speak the line.
Yeah.
That was that.
Yeah.
And then went back to singing the do-do-do-do.
Yep.
Dude, those are all dudes. Dudes singing dudes.
In saying that you were not a fan of Pink Shoelaces, did you think it had the potential to be a hit at all, after the recording session and all that?
Oh, no. I was shocked when it became a hit. And it was, I believe it was introduced first in Canada, which is where Carl Burns, the president of Crystalette, was originally from. And that's what I heard. It had been introduced in Canada first, where it took off, and then it came over into the United States and took off from there.
Certainly did. I mean, I think it was... it peaked at number 3 by March 1959. I mean, do you remember being...
Yes.
Yeah, do you remember being told that you'd reached so far up in the Billboard? Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I remember being told that. I just, back then it was a whirlwind. If you think about it, here I am, 13 years old. It was my first year in high school. I was a freshman. Suddenly, I'm in high school. I'm looking forward to high school, going into high school with my friends, and everybody's excited about being in high school. And here I am wanting to be just like everybody else, just doing what everybody else is doing and going to football games and parties and dances and this and that. I couldn't do a lot of that. Some of it I did, but so much of it, once Pink Shoelaces took off the way it did, I was touring. I was doing television appearances. I did my first movie with Fabian. I mean, there was so much going on. I was pulled in this direction and that direction, and I just went where I was told to go. And after a while, it became difficult. It was work. It was hard work for me to be on the road. I didn't know what that was about. It seemed like it was going to be fun, but there was so much that I had to do. And when you do one-nighters, when you're in this state one night and you travel the next day to another state, and you do that, and so forth and so on. And a 13-year-old, I remember thinking that it was work. I was working when I was on the road, or when I was doing television appearances or whatever. And I wanted to be in high school and do what all my friends were doing. And I was pulled away from that. So it wasn't the happiest time.
Because I could imagine, looking at all the stuff you did in 1959 alone, your first year of high school, did you get to attend much of that first year of high school with all those things going on?
Well, I did. As I said, I wanted to be like everybody else and what they were doing in school. I didn't consider myself to be different or better than or any of that stuff. I was just one of them. I remember I tried out for cheerleader, and I got to be one of them. And I remember going to the football games where we did our cheerleads and those kind of things. And there were people pointing at me and looking at me, and I didn't consider myself to be different in any way. I didn't want to be different. I wanted to be a part of it. But like I said, I tried doing all the things that my friends were doing or what other people were doing in high school, what other teenagers were doing in high school. So whenever I was there, I was one of the crowd. I was just one of them. Then I was, taken away for a week or 2 or 3 or 4 and did that as Dodie and then came back as Jerry, which that's my real name. Geraldine is my real name, Geraldine Pasquale. And so I was Jerry Pasquale in high school. And then I'd leave and I became Dodie Stevens. I'm glad I turned out to be, I had my challenges that I had to work through, but here I am now. And I made it through all of that, and I am who I am because of it.
Your follow-up single, Yes Siree, it was called. Did you like that record better than Pink Shoelaces? It was a bit less novelty. Yeah.
No, I didn't. To me, it wasn't any less novelty. No, I just didn't. I wanted to sing songs that had more meaning to them. I wanted to sing songs that you had to have a good voice to sing. Yes, Siree, you didn't have to have a good voice to sing. Now, No, if you remember No, you remember that song that I had out?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, I liked that very much, and I would have loved to perform it every time that I was on stage, but I couldn't because most of the song was sung by male background singers. And all I said was no, except I think maybe it was the bridge. Every time I let you kiss me, my heart goes on a roller coaster ride. Every time I let you kiss me, I get the little butterflies inside me. No. And then the singers would say, just a little kiss you never will miss. And I just kept saying no. So you couldn't do it on stage unless I had my own male background singers with me. And I never had that. So no, I never really got to sing no on stage because of that.
A lot of your songs had the male background singers. When you were performing live, how'd you go about that? Were you just solo, or how did that work? Yeah.
I don't remember them having background vocalists for me. Just a band is what I remember. Just a band.
Your first international tour was to Australia in 1959 with the Champs, I believe.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Fun. That was so much fun. It was in 1959, as you said, with the Champs and Jimmy Rogers. Trying to remember, he had several hit records, and of course, I can't remember any of them right now. So it was Jimmy Rogers, the Champs, and myself. And I think there was another 1 or 2 artists that were well known from the Lawrence Welk show. And so on our way to Australia, we had scheduled a stop, a layover in Hawaii, and then another one in, I believe it was the Canton Islands. Well, between Hawaii and the Canton Islands, we had some mechanical problems with the plane. So we did an emergency landing in the Fiji Islands. Okay, So here we are in the Fiji Islands, and the airport was just one huge room, huge, like a big auditorium kind of size, one huge room. And so because we were in this airport, not expected to be landing there, I don't know who they were, but they felt that they had to keep us entertained, keep us fed, keep us comfortable in the airport, all the people that were on the plane, which consisted of everybody on the plane and Jimmy Rogers and the Champs and, all the other folks that were part of this flight. And here we were in this airport. So they brought out lots of food and lots of drinks. A lot of alcohol was going on. That wasn't anything I was interested in. And the Champs, two of the members, and actually the founder of the Champs, Dave Burgess, which you had on your show.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so along with him was Jimmy Seals and Dash Crofts, and they were part of the Champs. So Jimmy and Dash, my sister, and myself decided to take a walk on the beach and leave all the folks that were in the airport doing all this eating and drinking. So the four of us go and take a walk on the beach. Okay. So here we are on the beach, and all of a sudden we see from our peripheral vision three men. Now, it seemed like all the men that were part of the island were natives with big afros and stood, they seemed like they were 8 feet tall, but they're, tall, like maybe 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
And we see three of them. One is leading the other two, but they all look the same. Okay, big afros, big guys. And the two that were behind the one leading the path had tiki torches. And so they come over to us where we're sitting, and they plant those tiki torches in the sand. And the leader of the group was the, what would you call him? He was the leader of the pack. He was the chief. He was the chief of the tribe. He comes over to me, and he points at me, and he says to me, "Beauty, I want you to be my wife. I'm going to take you across the lagoon to be my wife." Dash gets up from sitting on the sand, and he stands in front of him and he says, "Golly, Mr. Chief, she's my girlfriend, so you can't do that." And with that, we start to walk away, and as we do, the chief takes a header in the sand, completely passed out. Because, see, they were drinking in the airport with everybody else. So they were completely intoxicated. So it didn't take much for him to just pass out, but just in perfect time. Because, honey, he wanted me. Oh, he wanted me bad. And Dash came to my rescue. "Golly, Mr. Chief, she's my girlfriend, and you can't do that." And that was that. And so we quietly walked away back into the airport. By then, the mechanical difficulties were taken care of. We boarded, and off we went to Australia.
And you mentioned this a little bit earlier too. You mentioned how you obviously, like, listening to those recordings, you had a mature voice for your age at the time. And of course, Dot Records, for your third single, Five Pennies, kind of changed the direction with you as an artist. Like, you started doing those standards from the 40s and 30s. Take me through that. Yeah.
You know what, though? I think they really made a mistake when I signed with Dot Records, because I was only with Crystalette for about a year, I think it was. And Dot was distributing the record because Crystalette Records was so small. They weren't equipped to distribute that the records to everybody that wanted them all of a sudden. So Dot was very much a part of my career in the very beginning. So I signed over with them. And my first recording with them, album I should say, was, I think it was Over the Rainbow, and it was all of Judy Garland's songs, hits. I believe that's what the first one was. That's not what my fans wanted to hear. Their parents would want to hear it, but they weren't interested in a 13-year-old recording artist, singing their Judy Garland song. So it didn't sell. It just didn't sell for that reason. It wasn't until I think my third album, which was Pink Shoelaces album, where Pink Shoelaces was on it, and a bunch of other recordings that I had done, or other recordings of that time that I had covered. And that's what my fans wanted to hear. That should have been the first album. It would have sold a lot, but not a song of Judy Garland's, or an album of Judy Garland songs. Yes, I had a wonderful voice, and they discovered that, but they just used it at the wrong time. That's all. Could have eventually gotten there, but it needed to start out with what my fans wanted to hear.
I mean, and it gets me thinking too, because I mean, you mentioned, of course, that with that first album, how it wasn't really what the fans kind of wanted. I mean, if you could go back now and redo that album, like, are there any, like, what songs would if you had all the power to pick the songs that you wanted, like, what would you have put on that first album?
Well, on that first album, it would have been Pink Shoelaces. No, I'm trying to remember what else I recorded during that year. Not a lot of things, but I would have, just like it eventually was on my Pink Shoelaces album, was, to know him is to love him. I remember that was one of them that I had done. Just a bunch of other things that were going on at the time, songs that other people were recording. And of course, if I really had my say, I would have loved to have done songs by some of the groups that were out there, some of the male groups and the female groups, because I loved all that stuff. I just loved that stuff. So it would have been more of that. But as I said, the actual Pink Shoelaces album, with all of the records that I was able to, or songs that I was able to put on the album, it's what I would have done. It's what my fans and those that were my age or a little bit older would have liked, would have wanted to hear.
You were in the Hound Dog Man movie with Fabian, and I wanted to ask you about that because I heard you had a bit of a crush on Fabian at the time, and just wanted to what was that like, being able to act alongside him? Yeah.
Well, like you said, I had such a crush on him, like every other female teenager out there. And I was 13, he was 16. A 16-year-old wants nothing to do with a 13-year-old. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So I was way too young. Even though I looked older, acted older, wanted to be older, I was still 13. When I found out that I was going to co-star with Fabian in a motion picture, not only just co-star with him, but the role I played was his girlfriend. I am telling you, dream come true. I got to play his girlfriend. I got to pretend that I was his girlfriend, even though it wasn't for real. But as long as we were doing that movie and on location and the different scenes we did together, we never kissed, though. We never kissed in the movie. But I got to play his girlfriend, so that was as close as I was ever going to get to actually having him be my boyfriend. Later on, when I was in my 20s, we dated, which was a dream come true. But the movie, no, it was just pretend. But I was just so excited about it. I didn't want the movie to end. I think it only took about a month for us to finish it. We were on location in a few different places, and it was just wonderful.
During 1960, you had your last singles come out for a little while. I mean, I think the last one was Yes, I'm Lonesome Tonight.
Yes, the answer song.
Yeah, and it kind of got me thinking, like, whose idea was that to do that as a response to Elvis's original song? Yeah.
Well, it was a trend, honey, that was going on at the time. There were answer songs. Mine wasn't the first. It was typically an artist records a song, huge record, within a very short amount of time, within maybe a couple months at the most. Someone else, another artist, would come along and record the answer to it. It was the same arrangement. Everything was exactly the same, except the lyrics were changed to accommodate the answer to it or the response to it. That artist that did the answer song, it was never a hit. It just got a lot of airplay because the hit was the original. And people didn't want to buy the answer also because it was the same song, but only with different lyrics. But the DJs loved it. It was called a turntable hit. And they'd play the original, like they'd play Elvis's Are You Lonesome Tonight? And immediately following was, and here's Dodie Stevens, Yes, I'm Lonesome Tonight. And they'd play that. So that was done a lot, answer songs. I recorded another answer song, I Cried, which was the answer to Jay and the Americans, She Cried. Once again, not a hit. I mean, you look at the number on the charts, and it hardly went anywhere. But it wasn't intended to. I don't even know why they did answer songs, other than just maybe for DJs to be happy about it. I'm not sure. That's how that came about. I gave up my career at the age of 17. From 13 to 17, I had my fill of show business. It was, as I said, it was difficult for someone my age. And I wanted to be like my friends and everything else. So they were all getting married and having a family, right out of high school. I went, yeah, that's what I want to do. I'm going to get married and I'm going to have children and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do what I want to do. So I quit and got married at 17, moved to Missouri on a farm, had my baby girl. Shortly after that, and I was involved in a religious kind of like cult kind of thing in Missouri. And so I had my fill of that. I had my fill of what that was all about. And of course, the marriage was doomed because we were so young, So I got back into show business in my early 20s and thought I could get back as Dodie and people would remember me. The music had changed so much and the Beatles had come along and everything had changed. So I wasn't, nobody was interested in Dodie. And then very shortly after that, I went, okay, enough of this. And I became a background singer. That turned everything around because I could still do what I love to do. I could still be on stage performing. And, but I didn't have to be a part of all the other stuff that the star had to be involved in. And then there was one year that the Golden Boys were on the road and I couldn't do it because I was already booked for a doo-wop concert. And so I couldn't do it. But Stephanie, my daughter, took my place. She sang with the Golden Boys on their tour for a while as well.
I mean, because you mentioned your daughter Stephanie there, and you perform with her quite a lot. And I mean, when did you start performing with your daughter? Like, when did that start? Yeah.
Oh my God, I think she was about 13.
Yeah, right.
She was about the same age as I was when I recorded Pink Shoelaces. In the mid '90s, we formed our country rock band, and we've been singing ever since. And when I do my doo-wop concerts, I include Stephanie and have been since way back then. She's been part of it. She sings background, and then she comes up in front with me, and we do duets and things. It's just so much fun. I love singing with her. The latest thing that we did together was an album that we recorded called Affirma Song, The Game of Life. And I wrote all the songs, and they are inspirational and motivational songs that I just felt, I'm going to use my talents. I'm going to use my talents as a writer and as a vocalist, not just sing another love song or he done me wrong song, but something with meaning, something that's going to help and serve. And that's what Affirma Song is about.
What's next for you, Dodie? Like, what are you working on? Like, any musical plans, any other kind of plans? I mean, what's next for you? Yeah.
Well, I'm still continuing with Affirma Song because we had just completed it at the end of 2019. And we were getting ready to take it on the road, get some representation to take it on the road. A musical lecture and concert is how I saw it. And right after that, 2020, need I say more? So I'm still working with that, wanting to get that out there because it wasn't able to be heard. So I'm still doing that.
Yeah, well, I think it all sounds amazing what you're doing, Dodie, and I just want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. Yeah.
I loved it. I loved talking with you.
That was Dodie Stevens, 50s recording artist. To check out Dodie's recent music work, you can head to her website at dodiestevens.com. Remember to share this show with other music fans. And if you really like what you heard today, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Vinyl Vibes. And to all you music lovers out there, stay groovy.